Hello, and welcome to Resilience Radio. I'm Irvin Eisenberg, host of the show. Um, as always, the opinions on this show are not meant to be medically diagnostic or prescriptive in any way, and are not necessarily my opinions or that of Resilience. Today we have Tegan Alba from the Dad Guild. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Irvin.
So, I actually don't know much about Dad Guild. I know enough to know that it was interesting enough that I wanted to have you on the show. Give me a little overview of what is the Dad Guild?
Yeah, so Dad Guild, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're based out of Burlington, Vermont, and our mission is to support and engage fathers by offering opportunities for connection, education, and community engagement. And we are the largest fatherhood community in northern New England. We have a growing network of over 2,000 dads and masculine identifying caregivers, mostly across the Green Mountain State. But certainly we have more and more folks kind of like popping up in New Hampshire who have been coming to some of our events in the Upper Valley. Um, yeah, and we offer just kind of like a wide range of opportunities for dads to engage in their roles as nurturers and caregivers.
So I have my own thoughts on this as a father, and but and it might seem obvious, but why is this important? Why do we need to cultivate fatherhood support?
Oh man, there are so many reasons. I find that engaging men in their roles as parents is just like a missing piece of so many parts of work being done in the world right now. And what I say around that, I think the work that we're doing, it's addressing mental health in fathers and men. It's increasing positive outcomes for children. It's advancing issues of gender equality. It's dismantling systems of harm and oppression. It's from my perspective, it's the missing piece in a lot of parts of work being done right now. And I think a big reason why we've created this is so many parenting support groups or organizations out there. If you show up to a play group out in a random community, I would highly suspect that you're going to walk in and it will be probably 90%, if not 100%, moms or feminine identifying caregivers, which is 100% okay. And that's, it speaks to how our society acts right now. We live in a patriarchy, and I believe very much that the role of raising children is seen by many as still a woman's job and a woman's role, and our society is very much set up like that. Um, so when those spaces, when there aren't a lot of men present, or a man shows up and it's like, oh, this doesn't seem like it's for me.
Mhm.
And also, I think men need a different way of engagement, because sometimes I'll just see a play group and folks will throw on like, oh yeah, this isn't just for moms, this is for everybody. And then you go and it's still all moms. And
Mhm.
which I think speaks to the uh, dads and men. It's a puzzle. It's like, how do you engage this population? Because it's not always as simple as just like saying, all right, this is a dad's group now. It's really thinking critically. All right, how do we reach this population, and not just about reaching individual dads, but how do we actually shift the narrative around fatherhood so we make it exciting, and make it so, not that we're trying to like seek out dads, but how do we make it so that they're seeking us out?
Mhm. So, in what ways are you doing this? What are the system? What are the offerings?
Yeah, so our programs, we offer, gosh, like over the course of a year, we probably offer a- we offer over about 300 different activities over the course of a year. Right now, I would say, like last week, I think we had 11 activities over the course of the week. Um, This week, I think there might be like 8. But our approach is recognizing that you're never going to create one program for dads and it's going to reach everybody. Because, dads, we're not this homogenous group of people. Everyone is their own unique person. And so within that, there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of interests, a lot of different passions, geographic locations, schedules, comfort levels. And so we offer a wide range of activities that fall into 4 main programs. And those are dads only, dads and kids, caregiver education, and whole family events. And so for our dads only events, that's a lot of opportunities to support connections between dads. So this looks like we do basketball once a week. We have board game nights. We have a new dad cohort. So dads who just had a baby, they meet monthly for 6 months to explore a range of topics. In the warmer months, we do a monthly campfire outside to discuss, some of the heavier things that folks might be carrying. And we also do like Friday hangs in our space. We have an office in the soda plant located on Pine Street in Burlington. And so a place for folks just to casually engage. We have a Dungeons and Dragons group. We have people meet. We have a couple virtual groups, one for co-parenting dads, one just general casual. We have a Black Dad hang once a month. So just a wide range of activities for dads to get engaged. For our dads and kids events, we do regular playgroups at libraries, at playgrounds. We do a monthly cardboard crafting activity in our space at the soda plant in Burlington. We go to sporting events, we do nature walks, and then we do board games for dads and kids. So just a bunch of stuff for dads and kids to do together. For our caregiver education, we offer a bunch of different workshops that we really kind of like we kind of like survey our audience and kind of listen to what's popping up in meetups to see what are people looking to talk about. So we'll have facilitators come in and lead workshops. Once a quarter, we run a WTF Welcome to Fatherhood workshop for expecting dads. We do book groups. We have a podcast. We also collaborate with Prevent Child Abuse Vermont to run a Nurturing Fathers program. And so that tends to be for dads who are justice involved or involved with the courts in one way or another and need to take a fatherhood class. So we've been offering that. And then that leaves our whole family events. And this is a way to capture, families that maybe there isn't a dad present, or queer families, or maybe there are families where, or single parents, particularly when a dad isn't present, or some dads, we've surveyed our community and 25% of our dads say they don't come to in-person events because of social anxiety. And so we see whole family events as a way of kind of alleviating some of that social anxiety when you can show up with your whole family. And so that looks like we do pool parties. Right now in the winter, we do these monthly concerts called Toast and Jams that we do at Higher Ground in South Burlington. We do monthly coffee and waffles activities at Zero Gravity Brew Hall in Burlington. And then we do a pretty much weekly, some Sundays it doesn't happen, but we do it's called Fam Jams, where it's a musical play group. So yeah, really. So with all of that, we just try to cast a wide net, knowing that, the goal is just to get folks connected to our community. And then so even within that, we also have a private Facebook group. We have a WhatsApp community, a Discord channel, a Reddit channel. Just, really trying to make it so dads don't have any places to hide.
It almost sounds ominous.
Yeah. It is funny because people will be like, yeah, he just doesn't, he hasn't seen something. And I'm like, all right, I always see that as a challenge. I'm like, all right, how can I get him to like participate in some form?
I was just telling someone that I was interviewing the Dad Guild, and they said their image was a bunch of dads in like cloaks, like where you're
We
Which
will.
may be what the D&D sessions look like. I'm not sure.
We've been talking about doing some some connecting with the local LARPing community and being like, all right, how do we get some live action role play into this?
So you want to be, it seems very clear that your goal is to be a goal is to be available to fathers, for fathers to connect with fathers.
Uh-huh.
Um, this might seem obvious, but beyond the mental health of the fathers, why does this matter? I'm assuming you're saying that fatherhood and fathers having support is going to be useful for the children as well. What do you see as the main benefits of having a father figure and trying to cultivate it as a healthy father figure?
Yeah, I think that gosh, and this is something I've been talking about with folks because there's been a lot of focus, I think, on lonely men and how men are struggling with social connections right now. They have fewer friends than they did 30 years ago. It's like cut in half. They're struggling with mental health. Suicide rates are 4 times that of women. All of these things that are really problematic. And part of our work is to how do we improve mental health in dads and making sure that they're doing better. uh, when I've talked, or sometimes when that topic, especially in online spaces, particularly I've noticed like in feminist communities, when people start talking about lonely men, I hear a lot. I'll see a lot of like, if I hear one more thing about men being lonely, I'm going to scream. And I think that speaks
Mm.
to the amount of harm that other folks have experienced in a patriarchy. It speaks to how much violence has been created at the hands of by the hands of men. And even in this patriarchy where men are struggling, like we're still a privileged very privileged group of people living in a society that has been designed to benefit us. So it's hard to like not come across as like, oh, we're us men, we're having a hard time, we're victims. um
Mm.
I think one of the messages that we try to really get out there is that it's like, you're right. Like, this is so, all these things can be true. Like, men can hold privilege and can have committed a lot of harm and continue to do so. And a lot of men can be struggling and having a really hard time. Uh, the things that I like to point out or focus on is that, I believe that when we foster a version of masculinity that's defined by empathy, that's defined by love, that's defined by vulnerability and kindness and respect, something that we don't see a lot of in the news these days. Uh, when we foster and cultivate spaces for that version of masculinity to grow, that's when we see an impact across the board. That's when we see those dads being engaged in modeling for their children. There's plenty of research that shows that kids have, positive developmental outcomes. They're, more successful in school. They're having less behavioral issues coming up at school. They're going on to college. There's a mountain of research that shows when dads are engaged, kids win. When dads are engaged, partners are winning. when men are lonely and they're struggling, that impacts their partners, whether their partner is another man or a gender nonconforming person or a woman. That when that person has to be around that person and help take care of them, that has a tremendous impact on them. So their partners win. When we look at issues of we look at gender equality. When men, we know that there is a huge wage gap, and a big part of that wage gap is because women are the natural caregivers. They're the ones who are taking time off from work. They're the ones who have policies set up where they get more time off after the birth of a child. And so as a result, they're the ones who are taking on the vast majority of caregiving needs in families. And so they're the ones stepping away from work, and they're the ones who ultimately in the long run are giving up wages and losing money. When we create a narrative that's, hey, actually, we want to normalize men taking time off from work, for men to be putting on their work calendars that they're going they're going to their kid's doctor's appointment. They're the ones carrying a big chunk of the mental load at home. So there's greater gender equality in a domestic location or environment. So when that happens, when men are more engaged in those roles, we're advancing issues of gender equality. And then there's also research that shows that when men are engaged in more, I'm trying to figure out what the research I read was that I've used, but there's research that shows that men who adhere to a more empathetic version of masculinity, there's that is tied to less violence. Gosh, I should have read those stats beforehand, but basically what the research is showing is that when men lean into this version of masculinity that's empathetic and loving and kind and socially, emotionally intelligent, that leads to less violence. And when we also look at empathy and the development of empathy, how that can also lead to, that in itself is an anti-racist action when you're learning, how can I better see the world from other people's shoes? And so this just kind of goes back to earlier where it's like, hey, yeah, sure, this is great for men, but like, this is really critical for our society. And then it's great too, because it's not only men who are developing these skill sets and practices, but at the same time, they're also modeling it for these tiny humans that they're raising. So you're, in the social work field, it's like you're feeding two birds with one seed in this scenario.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I'm looking forward to checking more into it myself. And thank you for doing the good work that you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Irvin. I loved it.
You've been listening to Resilience Radio. I'm Irvin Eisenberg, host of the show. We were just talking about Dad Guild and fatherhood groups and such. The music was brought to you by Aaron Marcus with their tune Some Biological Process. If you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned. We'll keep having different topics, health-related, community-related, resilience-related. Until next time, take care.